Hi everyone, it's Miss Champagne. Okay, well thank you so much for joining me and welcome to my channel. Now on this channel, I will be teaching you about teaching in Japan and also about living in Japan, just everything that involves teaching, life in Japan, and travel. Okay, so first before I get started, this is going to be a very general video. There are so many different layers to teaching English in Japan that I'm going to literally have to break it down over different videos, but this is the first video to introduce you to how to get an English teaching job in Japan in general. But before I do that, let me introduce myself. So my name is Champagne Oden. I'm from Akron, Ohio, in the States. I've been in Japan for 11 years and 3 months now, okay? So long time. And prior to living in Japan, I lived in London for 4 years, and before that, I was in China for 6 months. So this is not like my first or second time to live abroad, and it's not my first time to be outside the country. So I have a very, very unique experience when I came to Japan, and I'm still in Japan. Okay, now, and also, I'm doing my PhD in education, which also ties into everything I'm going to be teaching you. So my entire experience, my education, all that stuff is going to tie into everything. So there's going to be a very big picture. Okay, so now I'm going to teach you how to get an English teaching job in Japan in general, okay? The specific videos will come later. Okay. So first of all, being a PhD candidate, I'm doing my PhD in education, and it is revolving around Japanese education because I'm interested in it. Now, when I was doing I'm still doing it, but when I was doing chapter 2, which is the literature review, that's like when you base your research on somebody else's research, I discovered that Japan, and even prior to doing that research, I kind of realized that when I came to Japan and started teaching. But Japan has really two educational systems, as I like to describe it. Now, in Japan, because everything's very uniform, it's like you have one country and every single school follows the exact same curriculum, which is completely opposite of the States, because depending on which state you are from, like for example in Massachusetts, the kids there in 2015, and this is from my dissertation, they actually tested quite highly amongst, the PISA test. So they were on a like a first world or like on a first place basis with other kids like in Asia. But I'll get into that another time. But anyways, so what I learned is that Japan has two educational systems. The one is where you have the public education, which means everybody gets exactly the same education, like exactly the same. Now in the States, you are allowed to skip grades, and we also have gifted education, but it is not like that in Japan. So because of that, what the Japanese parents did, they created, well, I don't know if the parents did, but somebody created a secondary education system where people and children, mostly children, can go to Tjuku, and Tjuku is a cram school. Now in Japan, cram school is like really, really necessary. And if you can't go, you're gonna fall back, unfortunately. That's just the way it is here. Now, in the States, we would call cram school Saturday school or summer school. And when I'm from Akron, Ohio, and for us, I was like, oh my God, you have to go to summer school? Is that because you didn't do well during the year? And usually the answer is yes, because they did not pass classes during the year. So it was really strange for me to kind of grasp this concept that you're going to school just to go to school, but you're not failing your classes. Well, some students might actually be failing their classes, but the point I'm trying to make is that in Japan, because of those two industries, the education for public schools and then the private education where you pay money, or your parents pay money for you to attend these cram schools, there's two educations. Now, with that being said, that means you have two different industries you can apply to teach in, okay? So that's why this is a very general, video. Now, I'm gonna break this down. Now let's go to public education. So that means, okay, so when I came to Japan, I came in, I forget the year. Guys, I'm sorry, I write so much and I produce so many books and stuff that I forget the dates. But anyways, I came to Japan 11 years and 3 months ago. You guys do the math. And when I came, I came as an English teacher or an ALT, assistant language teacher with Interact, and I love Interact. I think they're a great introduction company, okay? You have to level up after that. But anyways, so when I came and I worked for a company, and that company was a dispatch company, which is Interact, which means you work for the company, you get your money from the company, they organize everything from the company, but you're sent to the school. So you, even though you're working at the school, you don't work for the school. So that is one that is one job you can get, is being an English teacher for a dispatch company, and like that would be Interact and some other people, I can't remember now. Okay, so that's one job. So ALT, assistant language teacher. Another job you can get, and this is still within the same public education, is to work. Actually, no. You know what? I'm gonna take public and private. Okay, now. So we're still in industry 1, but we have public, which is like everyone goes to, and then you have private. So international schools, which would be like the American International School, the British International School, the Indian International School. There's 3. There's 3 Indian international schools. So you have that where parents from other countries, they come and they have an international school that's exactly the same replica as they have a school back at home. Okay, obviously it'll be a little bit different because they're in Japan. So, you know, they have to cater to kids who live in Japan, but mostly the kids are either Japanese kids who parents want them to be fluent in English, or they're just normal kids like my kid would go to there. Okay, so once again, you can work for a dispatch company like Interact, or you can work for an international school like the Yokohama International School. That is a private international school, so you could work for them. Also, you could work for a private Japanese school. We have a lot of those in Yokohama as well. I think a lot of the Catholic schools are, those are definitely private. You can work for one of them. Okay, so let's recap. 2 industries. Industry 1, public education. You work for a dispatch company, or still public education, but we're gonna branch it off a little bit, and that's the private education. You can work for an international school, or you can work for a private school in Japan. Okay, so, and also, sorry guys, I almost forgot to mention this. Now we're gonna branch off again. So that means you can also teach for universities, and these universities can also be private or public. So you could be a professor or an English instructor or something like that, whatever they're going to call you. So you can also work for universities as well. So we have dispatch company, international school, private Japanese school, or a university. Okay, and those are 4 options that you have there. Those are really, really easy. Okay, now that's the public. Now we're going to the Tjuku Schools, which is the private institution. So this means the after-school schools. So this would be Eon, this would be Berlitz, this would be Shane English School. I worked for Shane for many, many years. I actually liked working for Shane. Okay, now with these schools, because they're after-school schools, and although they can cater to like, the youngest I taught was like maybe 2, most of the classes are either, let me think, I think 7, no, is it 7? It might be 5 or 4, from 4 or 5 or 6 or whatever time until 11. And that's Monday through Friday. And then on Saturdays, you can also teach. I would start teaching from 9 and I would be there. Oh, or would I teach from 12? And then I would be there to 9. So once again, it just really depends. But another way you can get an English teaching job is through a Tjuku school, which is an after-school school. Okay. Let's see. Are there any? Oh, also, a lot of the universities as well run a type of Tjuku that they have for their students or for people in the outreach programs. You can also apply through them. Okay, so let's recap. 2 industries: public, private. Public, you can be a dispatch teacher, you can work at an international school, you can work at a private school, you can work for a university. That's public. Private industry, you can work for a Tjuku, which is an after-school school, or even a university who may be putting on like a program or something like that. Okay, so guys, now let's talk about how to apply for jobs. Now, I actually wrote about this in my book. Like I told you guys, I just wrote like 6 or 7 books last month, and I got to copyright them today or tomorrow and then publish them. So anyways, in this in this book, I actually break it down exactly how you do it step by step. This is the theory. This is based on my experiences. And this is the workbook, okay? So this is the practical, this is the theory. They both go well together. And I'll put the links for all that stuff in the description box below. Now, anyways, in this book, I describe how, first of all, you need to know which industry you want to go into. If you don't really care, then I would go to either Gaijin Pot. Gaijin Pot is a good one. Days English Cafe is a really good one. Jolt.org is a good one. And you can always Google like English teaching job in Japan, and bam, you'll find so many links. But Gaijin Pot, absolutely love. I've used Gaijin Pot for pretty much every job I've applied to, except for the first job I've applied to. And I'll make a separate video about that, like how I actually got my job, but this thing is for you guys. Okay, so you Google or you just go to gaijinpot.com, and I'll put all these links below, and then you'll click on like, you know, the job description, and the job description will say, okay, you need a 4-year bachelor's degree, which is all of us need that, unless you're teaching like for a kyokai. Kyokai in English is for a church. But anyways, that's another video. Okay, so all of us need a 4-year degree. That's the minimum. That's what you need for immigration to grant you your visa. Okay, and then they'll say like maybe experience unnecessary or experience necessary. It just depends. So just choose which one you want to click on, and it will give you a good idea about it. And also in this workbook, I have a tracking sheet that I actually created. It helps you be able to really, where is this tracking sheet? It's somewhere. Anyways, I'll put it in the link below, guys. All right. So it's also very good for you to track what it is you are applying to. And okay, so click on the link, see if you qualify to the job, apply to the job. Now, when you apply to the job, especially for Gaijin Pot, I never put a photo because like, how do I explain this without sounding bad? Okay, I don't put a photo because my name is Champagne M. Oden, and that for me, I get all types of opportunities based on my name alone. So I personally feel like I myself, Champagne M. Oden, do not have to put a photo, and I'm right, but that's about me. If you guys want to put a photo, I think you should do it. Like, I've never applied with a photo until they ask me to, and then I'll send them one. But I usually don't put a photo on. That's just for me personally, okay? And it has nothing to do with, like, I'm black, or it has nothing to do with that. It's just my name. You know, I get a lot of opportunities and interests based on my name alone. So, anyway, so you can apply with your photo, and then you're also going to need to fill out your resume on the website, right? And then when you apply to job, and so when you fill out your profile, all of that will be saved. And then you can use your profile to apply for these different jobs. And when you do that, you're able to apply for the jobs directly. And usually each job wants you to send a cover letter, which is something you should send. Now, what I did, I don't know if I did it in this book, but I have another book. This is how to transition from your current job to your teaching job. Actually, this book might be a little bit more appropriate for this video. I'll put this in a link below. I actually have a template already that I've used myself for every single job I've gotten. Is this the template? Just must. Oh, yeah. So this is the cover letter, Appendix D. And all you got to do is just cut and paste it and update your information. I've used this for every single job I've ever applied to. And I've been like 99% successful with jobs. So apply. So once again, click on Gaijin Pod or whatever, create your profile, fill out your resume, and then you want to apply for jobs. And you have to also, you have to send a cover letter, and they might want you to also send your resume, which I would send. And then that's it. So that's how you apply for jobs. Now, after you apply for the job, you're going to have to do an interview. Okay. And this book breaks down how to conduct yourself in an interview. After you get to interview, they're going to offer you the position, or they may not, whatever. You'll get a position regardless. And then you're going to sign a contract. You send it back to them. Okay. The Japanese company or whomever you're dealing with will then send you a bunch of paperwork, like paper in the mail, which you then take that work, you take that to the Japanese consulate or embassy. Now, if you're from Ohio like me, unfortunately, we have to go to Detroit, and I have a funny story about that. But anyways, you have to go to Detroit. If you're in DC, there's an embassy that's way closer, okay? Or Pennsylvania if you're from Ohio. But Detroit is closer. But anyways, that's another video. Okay, so after you go to the embassy, they will they might take like a month to get you your working visa. It could take shorter than that. But regardless, just listen to whatever immigration says there, and then they'll give you the paperwork. You may or may not get your Gaijin card, and Gaijin means foreigner, and Gaijin card means foreigner card, or your alien registration card. And then when you get ready to go to Japan, you take, all your things you need to live in this new country, and then you must bring that Gaijin card with you and your passport, of course, because you're leaving the country. When you get to the airport, then you either show them your Gaijin card, and if you don't have it, I think they can also issue it to you. Sometimes the Japanese immigration rules could sometimes be fluid in nature, but for me, I had my because this was like over 10 years ago, I actually had my passport and it had the stamp in the passport. So, but they don't do that anymore. And now it's Gaijin card. It's on your working visas on your Gaijin card. Okay, and then that's it. So once again, you apply for the job, interview, get the job, submit the paperwork to the immigration in wherever country you're at, get your documents from that immigration, come to Japan, and either you bring in your Gaijin card or they'll give you one at the airport, and then you start your job, and that's it. Okay, guys? Now, I know that sounds really, really simple. I hope it is. It was simple for me, but I'm very overbearing. I'm very demanding. I'm very pushy, so it works for me. Now, those of you who are not like me, and I hope you're not, I hope you're not like me, I hope you're yourself, you might find it a little bit tough, but that's okay. That's what I'm here for. So guys, I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to put the links for all my books here below. They're also available on Amazon.com, but these printed versions, you can only get these from me. But nonetheless, whether if you buy the books or not, it doesn't really matter, but I want you guys to ask me questions about what videos you would like to see so that I can, tailor it specifically towards my audience. And that is it for today, guys. Thank you. Bye.